Hey guys, Blue One here with my 14th Bucket plugin tutorial. Today we're going to be going over something that people have been requesting for quite some time, and that is advanced configuration files. So many people get confused about using the config, and it's a built-in feature that's very simple and very easy to use, that it really shouldn't be confusing. But people try to use getting a new instance of a file, and then they try to get a file configuration and cast it to a YAML configuration, and then they get the YAML configuration from the main, and it's just a pain the way they go about it, and there's really no point because it's built in. It's very simple and very easy to use. So I'm going to show you how to do things with the config. If you watched my it might have been the 11th, 10th, somewhere in there tutorial, that explained how to make a simple configuration file, and it was simple. It's a very easy thing to do. The way that you start is you go over here, you select a new file, you create config.yml, which is YAML, which YAML is the file extension full name, I guess you could call it. And it actually stands for YAML ain't markup language, which is kind of strange, but that's the way it is. So here's our config.yml. One thing to do and we're done. And that would be bucket dot. Actually, we don't even need to go into that. Just do save default config. Just like that. You're done. You have a configuration. Now, to have something in there when they load up the plugin, you put it directly in here. So we're going to put in players, and that'll be a list, I guess, of players. And I'll show you lists, I'll show you integers, doubles, how to do locations. This is going to be probably a longer tutorial than I'd like it to be, but there's only so much you can do with what you've got. So, locations. No, let's not do locations like that. Let's put in one called test location, which we'll just call test lock. See, what else should we do? Number of players, which you can't have spaces, so you can either do like that, or you can put dashes in between them, which I've seen some people do. You can also put an underscore. Personally, I just like having a capitalized letter at the beginning of the word to distinguish them. So that will be an integer. Let's see. Random double. We'll just put something in there. Alright, so we'll just go with that for now, and we'll see. Oh, let's do one more. We're going to put in a string prefix. A lot of people use prefixes in their plugin, and this would be a good place to handle that. I'll show you a little trick you can do with colors too. So let's go into, let's create a new class. We're going to call this CMDs, commands. It's going to implement the command executor. If I can type. There we go. We're going to add unimplemented methods, just like that. Get rid of all this empty space, get rid of the auto-generated stuff, return true, just because. Sender, command, and I won't change that, and let's change this to args, because I don't use the command label. Alright, so, first off, if sender instance of player, because we're only going to be doing this through player. It's a good habit to get into, even though we're not going to be exporting this as a real plugin for other people to use. Then player p equals sender. Else sender.send message chat color.red. And we just brought in Bungie. I hate using the Bungie chat color, even though really it is more useful overall. Okay, let's cast you to player while we're at it. As a player. Alright, so that's it. Now we're going to do something here that I like to do, and that's to get an instance of main. I'm going to create a public static, there we go, main plugin, like that right there. Then we're going to right here do plugin equals this, so that means that this right here, this instance of main, is equal to this. That works. So now all we have to do to get the config is we'll make an if statement here, if cmd.getName.equals ignore case ty. I've got that set up in my plugin.yml. I'll show you that after we get there. Then if args, we won't worry about args.length because we don't care right now, equals ignore case. You can check out that in my tutorial on advanced subcommands. It covers that pretty well. I see. Add player. So if you type /ty space add player, then we'll use main.plugin.get config, just like that. Now we've referenced the configuration. Dot set players to p.getName. Now what this is going to do, if we use this, when we go into our config right here, players will have just like that. And that's all players is going to be. But we want it to be like this. And we'll stick Keel in there. Alright, so we've got two staff and me in there, and that way it'll be a list of us, see? And then we can reference it as a list. So what we're going to do, instead of this right here, which is just setting it to a string, we're going to create a new list using list players equals, well, let's do list like that, equals a new array list with player rather, in as that parameter. Let's import these two. I would Control Shift O, but I don't know. So now we're going to use players dot, I didn't mean to do that, dot add p, and we're actually going to have to do this as a string. My apologies. Change it just this one parameter here. String, do p.getName, like that. So now we're adding their name to this list that we created, and this list is not in the config, but now we're going to use main.plugin. Tell you what we'll do, instead of setting it to a new array list, sorry I'm kind of disorganized here, we'll set it to main.plugin.getConfig dot get string list, and in here we'll use players, because that will then reference this configuration section as a string list. Alright, so now we're going to add them to this list right here, and then we're going to use main.plugin.getConfig dot set. We're going to set player section to this list, players, which now has us in it regardless of what was in it before, because it was equal to what it was. We added us, and now we're setting it to it and us. Alright, so hopefully you can see how that works. After you change the config every single time, you're going to have to use main.plugin.saveConfig. Otherwise, nothing changes. Alright, so that's to add the player. Let's do a couple more before we go and test it out. This is an else if statement. Args 0 dot equals ignore case. If you hear any background noise, don't mind that. I'm doing this right in the middle of the day, Well, not really right in the middle of the day. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted though. I stayed up all night and then I worked this morning. So, anyways, equals ignore case. Um, set look. And that was, yes, we're going to set a location here. So I'll show you how to do this. This is actually a lot of fun and I do this quite frequently. And usually what I'll do just to keep things more organized, if I'm going to do a lot in the config or a lot in storage files, I'll create a new class and I'll call it File Builder. And I'll have a bunch of methods in there to add to sections, subtract from sections, change sections. Everything will be found in File Builder class. And that's extremely helpful in organizing. So now let's go and let's see, main.plugin.get. We can do get config.get configuration section. I'm going to show you how to do this first since it's the easiest way to understand for a lot of people. We're getting the configuration section called, sorry about that, the configuration section called test lock, just like that. And now we're going to create section. All kinds of methods you can use in there, but we're going to use create section. X. We're just going to call it X, and that's all. Now, if you do Control Alt and the down arrow, it copies the line that you're on beneath it. We're just going to change this to Y. We're going to change this to Z. So now we're just getting the config, getting the test location section, and then creating a new section called this. And let's do one more. We're going to call this one World. Alright, so this is all you need to set a location. How you actually do the setting of the location is you're going to do, let's see, main.plugin.get config.get configuration section test lock dot set. We're going to set x to p.get location.getx. Alright, so you see how that worked. Get x is a double. It's not an integer, it's a double, because your x coordinate is just a double unless you get block x, which is an integer. So we're going to set inside of test lock the x section, which does not currently exist, but it will because we created it there. Right here we create section. It'll set it to their x coordinate as a double. Now there is an easier way to do this, which I'm going to show you right now. Instead of using create section, you can just use set right here, which is kind of fascinating. We're going to do p.get location.get x. We're actually going to use get block x, although you can also cast it to an integer. But if you use get block x, it will be more accurate. Alright, so get configuration section test location dot set x to player get location get block x. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Let's just copy that a few more times. We'll get rid of this old stuff. And we'll change this to Y, we'll change this to Z, we'll change this to world. This now we're getting blocks Y, this we're getting blocks Z. Get location dot get world, real simple. You can also just use p.getWorld, I believe. But either way, keep it consistent, whatever. And now after all of this, of course, you're going to want to main.plugin.saveConfig. There is yet another way to set something inside a configuration section. You don't have to use this long string of characters here that says get configuration blah blah blah. You can use main.plugin.getConfig.set. Here's the fun part. Test lock dot x. Dot is a string separator. It makes it go into the next category. So when you use test location dot x, here's how Java reads it. We're going through, oh, there's test location. Now we're going to go inside that where it's, oh, there's x. Okay, so that's what it does. Test location, as soon as it gets to a period inside a string, it uses that as a file separator or an organizer to go into the next internal section. Okay, so that's pretty nice actually. It makes it much more compact. And we're going to now delete what we just typed again, but typing it over and over actually does help you to remember. Now we're going to change these to Y, and these to Z, and this to world. Going to change this to get block Y, get block Z, and get world. I hope you remember all of this, typing it this many times. So now you can see it's much, much more compact than it was. And than it could have been. There's many ways to do it. This is by far the most compact and the most tidy, and it functions just as well as the rest of them. So long as you can remember it, go ahead and do it. If the other ones are easier for you, there's no problem with doing them those ways either. Those are built-in methods. You're allowed to use them. So that's to set a location. It'll set your X, your Y, your Z, and your world. Something you can do if you want to get the world's UID, or UID rather, unique identification. If you're using plugins such as Multiverse, sometimes getting the world name does not work because sometimes the world name is not the same as the world file name. So it sometimes is best to use world.getUID, getUID.toString. Just like that, and that casts it to a string, changes it to a string rather. Alright, so let's do another one, number of players. Okay, this is just going to be else if args. No, we're actually going to do this right with the first one. Okay, so every time you add yourself as a player, it's going to increase that number as an integer. It'll increase it by 1. So right after this list, we're going to create a new integer, I equals main.plugin.getConfig.getInt. And what was it again? Players, something rather, number of players. Number of players. And I did that on purpose. Alright, so now integer I is set. Now what we're going to do is when we add player.getName, we're going to do I++ right here. And then after we set players, now we're going to do main.plugin.set get config. Wow. There we go. Dot set number of players to I. Now when we save the config, number of players will have incremented 1. I++ adds 1 to I, so I is originally equal to the integer that's in there, which right now is 0 because it's not there. Then we add 1 to that, and then we set it to the new number that we added 1 to. So basically it just adds 1 and saves it. And let's do, okay, random double. We don't really need to do that because it just looks like an integer with a dot and then another number. Okay. Prefix. This is where things get kind of fun. Use else if args 0 dot equals ignore case prefix. Okay, let's see. Then we're going to use if args dot okay, args1 dot equals ignore case set, and else if args1 dot equals ignore case get. Alright, so what we're doing with this is we're going to have a subcommand to set the prefix and one to get the prefix so we can read it back to ourselves and see what it looks like. Okay. So let's do main.plugin.get, I can't type, get config dot set. We're going to set the string prefix to args2. Okay, so there won't be any spaces in the prefix. You're not allowed to have spaces. It's just going to be whatever your third argument is, because you're doing /ty space prefix space set space, and then you put in your prefix right there. Then it'll set it to that. And we'll use main.plugin.saveconfig. Now right here with get, this is where it gets really fun. Alright, we're going to do p.sendMessage chat color dot, now here's the part right here, translate alternate color codes. Put a single quote. We put this right here, this and character, this ampersand it's called. So we're translating this ampersand into a particular color, which it'll just translate properly by itself. So and6 will just become gold, and and9 will become kind of a purpley blue, and 1 will become a dark blue, and 2 is a green. It's just all these different colors that it translates to. You can put any symbol in here so that if it's %6 in this prefix, then it'll be gold, but we're going to use and because that's the standard. What we're translating is this right here, this prefix found in the config. So we're going to use main.plugin.getConfig. I didn't say get parent path, .get string prefix. So we're sending them the message plus chat color.green plus hello. Alright, and that's all. No errors, nothing. Okay. So when we type /ty prefix set and then whatever prefix, then it sets the prefix to that. And when we use get, when we use ty prefix get, then it sends us the prefix, and then it sends hello in green. So let's test all this out. This is about as advanced as it gets. Pretty simple. We'll refresh everything. Let's export as a jar file into bungee cord ASG plugins tutorial YAMLs. There we go. Kind of slow. Jar creation failed. Did I not refresh? Did refresh. We have our main. We have our commands. Everything is as it should be. Refresh one more time. Let's export again. Java jar file. Just like that. There we go. That worked. Alright, so let's just join here. Blue skies. I know I've got a lot of servers on there. I've been talking to a lot of people. 25 minutes long. This is pretty long tutorial, and it's dark in here. Let's fix that. That's better. Oh, I changed the outside a little bit. Just a little bit. People were saying it was kind of bland with just leaves and all, so I don't know. It's different. So, server ASG. Let's reload this. And now all the magic actually will be happening right here. As you can see, the config loaded quite nicely. Let's put it in. There we go. Exactly as it should be. Here it is on our config.yml in our notepad++. Here was the plugin.yml, by the way, how I had it. You can set that up however you like. Get a good look at that. Okay, so /ty does nothing. Obviously, ty add player. Was that what it was? I think. Oh, I feel just a little bit dumb now. I know what we forgot. I knew we forgot something. Okay, you probably saw this too. We're going to get command ty.set executor cmds, new cmds. There. Let's reload again. Very well. Now let's have a look at this. Now see where it says this file's been modified by another program. You just click yes, I want to reload it. And as you can see here, it has players as blue1, number of players as 1. Let's run the other commands now, and I'm not sure why it deleted that. I think it had something to do with the save default config or something. But it's really not important because it won't delete anything that has any value. That's checkers. My apologies. Commands. Thank you. Okay, so now let's type /. We've done add player. Let's do /setlock. Let's get right on this one right here. And our location is oh, I put a double /. Okay. Okay, there's our test location. Oh, interesting. Huh. I didn't realize I'd saved the world as the world. I was supposed to save world.getName. Okay, so where we did this .getWorld was supposed to do .getName. But anyway, that's apparently all of the values of the world, the environment, the difficulty, autosave, all this stuff. Let's actually get rid of this and reload so you can see what it's supposed to be. There we go. And it didn't do it. Okay, anyway, normally it just sets lowercase WORLD there. I don't know what I did. .getWorld, .getName. .toString? No, because it already is a string. Just delete the whole thing here. And reload again. Make sure you don't come back. There we go. That's what it's supposed to do, just like that. Now let's use add player. Okay, now let's use set prefix, or was it prefix set? It was prefix set to aqua, bold, italicized. Yeah, we'll just do that. We could have it underlined, but nah. We're gonna have it say blue sky. Oh, we can't have spaces. Blue skies for the win. And that's all. Alright, so now let's go into here. Yes, okay, we've got players, blue one, name of players. And here is the prefix. You can see it's got the single quotes on there to contain the string. Now let's use get. This will be fun. Ready? There it is, blue skies for the win, hello. And see how it translated automatically into those color codes from here. So that's how you do translate color codes from the configuration for those of you who didn't know. Let's do one more thing, just one. This is a bit more complex. This is a rather advanced thing right here. We're going to do one more message, which we'll set in the config to being hello player. Now see where I've got it surrounded by these? That just makes it for the people so it's easier for them to see. I know we're going on half an hour right now, but we'll get through this. So what we're going to do is else if args1 0 rather dot equals ignore case message. Then we'll use p.sendMessage main.plugin get config get string. Now as you can see up here, any string is to be contained in these, otherwise you get an error. So we'll just save that as it is. Well, hello there, string arg0 get string message. So notice though that that's just going to send us this exactly. We want it to send us our name, which we could have this as name or player or whatever. We'll have it as name because that makes more sense right now. Now we're going to use .replace all. Put two strings in here. One of them is what we're going to replace, which in this case is name. The other one is p.getName. So the name of the player who types the command, it's going to say hello and then their name. It should, rather. Okay, and you can use translate alternate color codes with this too, using pSendMessage chat color dot translate, and then have like this, have that in there, one more, there, and you're done. Now it doesn't matter what you've got in here. Now you can have this as being gold and bold. Alright, and that's all. So when we type /ty space msg message, next finish yes, just reload this. This should work. It does. Hello blue one. Alright, so that's how you can make replacements in the config file, which is extremely useful for a language file as well, but we'll get into custom YML files next. This tutorial has been quite a bit of fun for me. It's been needing to be made for a while now, and it can lead right into the next one. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Tell your friends about it, and I'll see you guys later.